You were never aging. You were just forgetting. Not your age, yourself. Because the body does not age alone. It follows the soul, and the soul only withers when you stop listening to it. You have been looking in mirrors your whole life, checking wrinkles, fixing flaws, chasing time. But maybe you were never meant to fight time. You were meant to remember something. Because aging is not about skin, it's about silence. And most people go quiet far too early. Imagine this. An old man stands before a mirror, but what he sees staring back is a child. Not a memory, not nostalgia, a presence, a truth. The version of him that never left, just got buried under expectations, performance, and pretending to grow up. What if that's why some people never look old? Because they never killed the child in the mirror. They still wonder. They still laugh from the stomach. They still cry without apologizing for it. They have not replaced depth with status or awe with strategy. And their face reflects the one thing the world can't fake, a spirit that stayed awake. So, maybe you did not age like you thought. Maybe you just stopped remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. This is not about genetics. It's not about skincare. It's not even about time. It's about soul. It's about story. And it's about how you carry both, or how you bury them. Today we are not reversing your age. We are doing something far more powerful. We are returning to the version of you that never aged at all. We think mirrors show us reality. But mirrors don't just reflect appearance. They reflect awareness. And awareness is what keeps you young. Not awareness of trends, not awareness of how you look in a selfie, but the quiet awareness of who's still behind your eyes, the one watching your life unfold in silence. Jung believed the mirror symbolized the self, not the ego, not the persona, but the deeper essence trying to emerge through the noise of who you pretend to be. That's why some people age fast. They stop reflecting inward and only live outward. They become strangers to their own story, narrating their lives with borrowed voices, measuring their worth by what others see instead of what they feel. But reflection is rebellion. It's choosing to sit with yourself in stillness, in truth, in shadow. Because when you lose the habit of reflection, you don't just forget what you look like, you forget who you are becoming. That's why some faces carry the weight of time before time even touches them. They're not tired from years. They're tired from never stopping to ask themselves, who am I becoming and why? Youth is not in the skin. It's in the willingness to see yourself without flinching. It's in keeping your inner mirror clean so your soul has space to speak. The people who never look old, they never stop checking in. Not with the world, but with their inner witness. They journal, they meditate, they cry without shame. They reread the chapters of their life and are not afraid to edit the story. That reflection keeps them soft, it keeps them real, and it keeps them untouched by time, because they have stayed close to the one thing most people abandon, the mirror that does not show their face, but shows their truth. There's a reason some people feel light, magnetic, almost ageless. It's not because they avoided pain, it's because they never stopped playing, not childishly but spiritually. See, your inner child never actually disappeared. He did not grow up. He did not die. He just went quiet the moment you started pretending to be someone the world would accept. In Jungian psychology, the child archetype is not just about youth. It's about wholeness. It's the part of you that remembers wonder, instinct, imagination, and truth. It's also the part that gets buried the fastest. Every time you were told to grow up, every time you suppressed curiosity for conformity, every time you chose productivity over presence, you distanced yourself from that original version of you. And yet, he never left. He just hid, waiting, watching, wondering if you would ever come back. People who stay young don't do it with products. They do it with permission. Permission to laugh without explanation, to chase ideas that make no sense, to dance without rhythm, to believe in magic, even if it's just the way the wind moves leaves. These people don't age the way others do because they never declared war on the child inside. They don't shame him. They don't shut him out. They let him speak through art, through joy, through silence. But most people, they kill the child early, not on purpose, but through survival. They take on adult armor, responsibility, image, performance, and in doing so, they silence the very spirit that gave them life. And that silence ages them, not just emotionally, but physically. Because grief that lives in the body has weight, and the grief of an abandoned inner child is the heaviest kind of all. You can see it in the eyes. The sparkle fades, the gaze turns guarded, the smile stiffens into something performative. These are not signs of aging, they're signs of forgetting. But here's the truth. The child never left. He just got quiet when you got loud with the wrong things. And he's still there. Behind the noise, behind the pressure, behind the grown-up mask you've convinced yourself is you. He does not want to ruin your life. He wants to remind you what it feels like to be alive. Let him. There's a moment in every life, subtle, unannounced, where the performance begins. You start saying what people expect you to say. You smile on command. You walk into rooms wearing invisible masks, designed not to protect you, but to please everyone else. This mask, Jung called it the persona. It's not evil, it's necessary, a tool to survive society. But when you wear it too long, something tragic happens. You forget there's a face underneath. Most people you see in life are not truly living. They're performing, not just in their jobs or online personas, but in their friendships, their families, even when they are alone. They have merged so tightly with the character they created that they don't know what's real anymore, what they want versus what they present. This is where psychological aging begins, because the soul does not tolerate performance. It withdraws. The fastest way to age is not through time, it's through disconnection. When your soul retreats, your eyes lose spark. When your truth goes silent, your movements lose intention. When your laughter is not real anymore, your body starts to believe the lie and show it. You don't just carry wrinkles, you carry resistance. You carry the exhaustion of pretending. But here's the paradox. You don't stay young by being perfect. You stay young by being integrated. Jung's greatest insight was not about healing, it was about wholeness. And wholeness comes from reconciling opposites, the mask and the face, the role and the reality, the outer self and the soul beneath it. The people who never seem to age, they're not always smiling, they're not always agreeable, but they are aligned. Their outside reflects their inside. They don't act one way and feel another. They have stopped selling the world a version of themselves that does not match the voice in their head. And that alignment, it frees energy, it restores vitality, it makes the body relax because it no longer has to hold the tension of contradiction. You were not meant to spend a lifetime pretending. You were meant to unfold, to remove the mask gradually until only truth remains. Not because the mask is shameful, but because your soul was always louder. You just stopped listening. Let go of the performance. Let the soul speak again. Because nothing is more youthful than someone who no longer needs to prove they are someone else. We think aging is about time, but often it's just about weight, not the kind that's measured by a scale, but the kind that builds silently beneath the skin. The emotional weight you carry when you repress what you were never meant to hold alone. Grief that was never spoken. Anger that was buried beneath politeness. Resentment that turned into silence. And then into tension. And finally into a body that feels too tired for no reason at all. This is energetic aging. The kind that doesn't happen on calendars, but in the muscles, the breath, the way your eyes lower without meaning to. Psychological repression is not invisible. It shows. It shows in tight jaws, stiff shoulders, shallow breathing. It shows in people who walk like they are dragging a history behind them. It shows in faces that look exhausted, even after a full night's sleep. That's because every emotion you suppress does not leave. It settles into the tissues, into the nervous system, into your posture, your digestion, your skin, your smile. And here's the tragic part. Most people aren't even aware of how much they are holding. They have normalized the tension. They have built personalities around suppression. They call it being strong, when really, it's just being emotionally constipated. But then there are others, the ones who still cry when something moves them, the ones who laugh fully, breathe deeply, speak truthfully, even when it's messy. They process, not pretend. And that's why they seem lighter, not just in mood, but in presence, in their skin, in their aura, in the way their body moves with freedom. They have given their emotions permission to pass through them, instead of get stuck inside them. Think about it. Have you ever met someone whose smile feels unburdened, whose face seems to glow? Not because of a product, but because there's nothing left to hide. That's the glow of emotional transparency. It's the opposite of repression. And it's what keeps people looking and feeling young. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be peaceful all the time. You just have to stop storing what needs to be released. Because every feeling you refuse to face becomes a wrinkle in your body, a fog in your mind, a shadow in your energy. So, if you want to stay light, you have to live light. And that means feeling what hurts so you can return to what heals. Most people think youth is about energy, but sometimes it's about the absence of noise, not just around you, but within you. We live in a world that confuses movement with meaning. If you're not chasing, grinding, performing, you're seen as lazy or lost. But here's the paradox. The people who age the fastest are often the ones who never stop moving, not because they're growing, but because they're running from themselves. Jung believed that to become your true self, you must go through a process called individuation, a deep internal unfolding that only happens when you separate from the collective noise and listen to the quiet voice inside. And that voice, it only speaks in silence. Stillness isn't inactivity, it's awareness, it's meditation, it's solitude, it's walking without your phone, it's sitting with your thoughts long enough that they stop being strangers and start sounding like you again. This inner calm doesn't just feel good, it regenerates you. Your nervous system resets, your cortisol drops, your breath deepens. Your body finally gets the message, you are safe now. And that safety is what lets youth return. The people who radiate peace, they aren't lucky. They've just chosen stillness over stimulation, reflection over reaction, presence over performance. And it shows. Their faces aren't tired from conflict. Their bodies don't carry the scars of unnecessary arguments. Their voices don't tremble from overexposure, because stillness has protected them. It has preserved them. Youth isn't just about energy. It's about how little of it you waste on things that don't nourish you. Every reaction you withhold, every silence you honor, every breath you take before speaking, that's restoration happening in real time. So, no, you don't need another productivity hack. You need a moment of stillness, because the soul doesn't age when it's heard. It ages when it's drowned. And in a world addicted to noise, choosing silence isn't just healing, it's revolutionary. Some people age because the years pass. Others age because something inside them calcifies. Not their bones, their spirit. They stop feeling awe. They stop being moved. They stop being touched by life. And that is the moment aging begins. We often mistake psychological resilience for optimism, but they're not the same. Optimism says, things will get better. Resilience says, even if they don't, I won't become bitter. The youthful aren't naive. They've just made a choice to keep their heart open, even after it's been broken, to still say wow at a sunset, even if their world is falling apart, to still laugh deeply, even when life hasn't gone to plan. This refusal to harden, this rebellion against emotional closure, is what keeps the soul alive. And when the soul stays alive, the face reflects it. You can see it in the people who cry easily, not because they're weak, but because they're still connected. They haven't numbed out. They haven't shut down. They haven't mistaken being mature for being emotionally unavailable. Time may touch their skin, but it never reaches their light, because they've refused the one thing that truly ages people: cynicism. Not pain, not loss, not disappointment, but the decision to let those things make you smaller, colder, harder. Psychological resilience is softness that survived the storm. It's a smile that wasn't stolen by suffering. It's wonder that made it past adulthood without turning into sarcasm or detachment. And that's power. Because anyone can put up walls. Anyone can say nothing matters. Anyone can shut their heart to avoid being hurt. But it takes real strength to stay tender in a world that keeps testing you, to still greet life like a child who hasn't been told to stop believing. So, if you still say wow at ordinary things, if you still pause to admire the sky, if you still believe there's something sacred in small moments, you're not just resisting bitterness, you're resisting time. You're doing something most people forgot how to do: feel. And that emotional aliveness, that refusal to go numb, is what makes you timeless, because the body may change, but the spirit that still marvels never grows old. The body ages. That part isn't optional, but the mind, and more importantly, the soul, have a different timeline altogether. And the secret to keeping them young is novelty. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself, adapt, and grow no matter how old you are. But the real question is, what triggers that rewiring? Not repetition, not routine, not doing the same thing every day and calling it stability. What keeps your brain youthful is learning, curiosity, engagement with the unknown. And here's where science meets soul, because it's not just about facts or skills. It's about staying open, to wonder, to mystery, to being wrong, to starting over. People who keep learning aren't just smart, they're energetically alive. They don't shut down their perceptions just because they've been through a lot. They don't cling to old beliefs just to feel safe. They keep asking questions. They keep changing their mind. They keep stepping into unfamiliar spaces just to see what it feels like to be new again. And that makes the soul vibrate. That wakes it up. Have you ever noticed how some people feel stuck in the past? It's not because of age, it's because their learning stopped, their curiosity calcified, their spirit closed in on itself, and their face, it followed. But those who keep exploring, internally or externally, move differently, think differently, look differently. There's a kind of glow that comes from discovery, a brightness in the eyes that comes from seeing something for the first time, again. So, no, it's not too late. Not to start reading again, not to take up something strange, not to ask childlike questions even if you're supposed to know better. Learning isn't a task, it's a spiritual practice. It doesn't just keep your brain alive, it keeps your soul unafraid of becoming more. And that is the kind of youth that time can't touch. There's something you will notice in the people who never seem to grow old. They're not just energetic, they're emotionally alive. They feel deeply, speak honestly, and love in a way that feels like they have nothing to lose. Because they have made a choice, a rare one in today's world. They've chosen depth over safety. Most people don't age because their body fails. They age because their spirit starts playing it safe. They stop expressing how they really feel. They keep conversations shallow. They choose emotional comfort over emotional truth. But that kind of safety comes at a cost. The cost is aliveness. Every time you choose not to say what you really feel, your soul shrinks a little. Every time you avoid vulnerability to keep the peace, you lose a piece of your radiance. Every time you feel something powerful but suppress it out of fear, you age, not externally, but energetically. And the body follows the energy. Youth is not about avoiding pain. It's about not being afraid to feel it. It's about living open-hearted, even when the world keeps handing you reasons to shut down. And the ones who carry that kind of courage, they walk differently. They look at you differently. They are not guarded, but grounded. Not reckless, but real. They don't armor their emotions. They swim in them. They go to the bottom of things. Not because it's easy, but because they know that real beauty lives beneath the surface. And that depth, it keeps the soul awake. And when the soul is awake, it shows. You can see it in how they listen, how they pause before answering, how their presence feels full, as if they're not just standing in front of you, but with you. The people who start dying early are not the ones in hospitals. They are the ones who shut down emotionally because it felt safer to stop feeling than to risk being hurt again. But here's the truth. Every time you feel deeply, you come alive again. Every act of honesty, every risk to love, every tear you don't apologize for, is a signal to your body. We are still here, we are still real, we are still alive. So no, staying youthful is not about staying comfortable. It's about staying open, even when it hurts, because it's better to feel everything than to feel nothing at all. And that's what keeps you young. So maybe you never actually aged, not the way you thought. Maybe the face in the mirror did not change. Your vision did. You stopped seeing, stopped listening, stopped remembering who was behind the eyes. Because aging is not just decay. It's not the loss of collagen or time or beauty. It's the fading of memory, not memory of events, but of self. You did not look older because years passed. You looked older because the story got heavier, and somewhere along the way, you started carrying things that did not belong to you. Expectations, roles, masks, pain that was not yours, but became yours because no one taught you how to let it go. You were never meant to stay untouched by time, but you were never meant to be buried by it either. There's a version of you, still alive, still watching, still waiting for you to come back. He does not care about wrinkles. He does not notice scars, because he knows that the soul does not age, only the story does. You don't need to reverse age, you need to return inward, to the breath you forgot how to take, to the silence you were too busy to hear, to the awe you used to feel just looking at the sky without needing to post about it. Remember when you used to laugh and it shook your whole body? When tears were not shameful, just proof that you felt? When you asked questions not to be clever, but because you genuinely did not know? That version of you is still there. He's not in the past. He's in the quiet corners of right now, just beyond the noise, just beneath the armor. So, here's the truth. You never looked old. You just stopped recognizing the one part of you that never grew up. You became so good at pretending that you forgot how to be. You became so good at carrying that you forgot how to feel light. But you don't need to chase youth. You don't need to fake it. You just need to unlearn the parts of yourself that were never yours to carry. Age is not your enemy. Time is not what's stealing your glow. It's disconnection from yourself, from joy, from the child who never stopped believing in life. So, pause, breathe, remember. You're not broken. You're just waking up. And if you have made it this far, maybe that's your soul whispering back, "There you are. I knew you would find me again."